All right, hello and welcome. We're joined today by a couple of Super Bowl champs, Greg Jennings and Ty Law. Let's start with Tom Brady, whose documentary Tom vs. Time debuted today on Facebook. The first 5 episodes of the 6-part series will be released in the lead up to the Super Bowl, with the final installment coming after the game is decided. Here's a sneak peek with a voice cameo from yours truly.
In the next 18 months, he will be at best middle of the pack. And I would tend to take the lower estimate, like 15 to 18, something like that. He'll be average at best.
Father Time is undefeated, and Tom may play well enough to win another Super Bowl. But his play is going to start to back up. We'll start to really see it this year.
You know, whatever people call me, they call me. You know, those things don't bother me at all. I don't need exterior motivations. The ones that I have inside of me are enough.
So, when you're 39 and most guys would go, ah, you know, I can fire that.
All right, Cowherd, some people might think this is a distraction, unveiling this in the lead up to the Super Bowl. Do you think this was the right move for Brady to do this before the Super Bowl?
Yeah, the movie's made. You know, when the baby comes out, the work was done 9 months earlier. Okay, all the work and editing, and it's all done. In fact, I think it's a distraction to Philadelphia, because you watch that and think, damn, he is a machine. We are facing a machine. Okay, Nick Foles, he released a pamphlet today. Tom Brady released an Oscar-winning movie. Like, I watched that thing, and I was in awe of it.
I went in with very low expectations and expecting this morning when I was told it was getting released this morning, I was like, oh, man, this is selfish. Those were the first words out of my mouth. He's doing this to promote his business, to, hey, look at me. And then I watched it, and I was blown away and impressed. And I think there's 2 things here at work. Tom Brady has a religious-like belief in his lifestyle and the training he does with Alex Guerrero. And when you are religious, when you're spiritual, and again, I don't know what Tom's religious deal is, but he wants to share his lifestyle with others so they can learn from it. That's one thing I think that's motivating him. This is his brand of social activism. I want to share my life. I'm doing incredible things at 40. Here's how you can learn from me and better your life. And then I think the other thing is they quote Max Kellerman, me, and some other people criticizing Tom and talking about he's going to back up. I think those voices are actually Bill Belichick's voice, and I think Tom put this documentary out to say, Belichick, you think Garoppolo has a brighter future than me over the next 3 or 4 years? Watch this video and tell me who has the brighter future.
I think it's a method to the madness, and I mean, we're getting caught up into a lot of other things other than Tom can still play football. That's what it's all about. I mean, he put out this documentary at the right time. What better stage to put it out there than the lead up to the Super Bowl, to let those guys know that you're going to have to come play and you're going to have to beat me. I'm the same Tom Brady that you think I am. And that's what this is. This is all a game as far as I'm concerned. And I think that when you look at this, it's not about promoting the brand. This is about promoting the brand, what I'm doing right now. Yeah. This is about promoting the brand. Tom Brady, this is what he lives, and this is what he believes in, and he believes that he's the best. I don't think it has anything to do with Jimmy Garoppolo. I don't think this has anything to do with him saying, hey, Belichick, watch this. This is about letting the Philadelphia Eagles know that when you come to play, you better be ready to come play against the Tom Brady that you all know and hate. Yeah. Not all know and love, that you all know and hate.
Absolutely. I'm with you, too. I don't have an issue with him releasing it. I don't think it's bad timing. I think it's the perfect time. The Super Bowl, everybody's going to talk about it, whether we like it or not. We're going to promote it in good light or bad light. And so for him, to your point, it's about him for a change. This is about him and what he's doing against time, Father Time, something that he put in there that he feels like he's going to beat. And when I watched it, the thing that my takeaway was it's selfish, But it's selfish to a point where you embrace it, because it's all about him competing and trying to better himself. He said when he first got into the league, I didn't know, so I had to continue to learn. When I was 20, I'm better now that I'm 40 than I was even when I was 20, 22, 23 years old. So it's about him making the right strides to better himself as a teammate, as a husband, as a brand, all these things, and I love it.
But I will. Oh, I'm sorry. Go.
He didn't hike a mountain. Tom just let cameras in to his daily life. It's not like this is, I'm going to scale Everest right before the playoffs. Follow me. Tom's like, listen, I live this life. It's almost Tony Robbins-esque. This is my life. Watch it. Tom's not directing and editing. He goes to his same room. It's the same workout. It's the same trainer. It's the same wife. It's the same drive home. Like, he's not doing anything abnormal. He's just letting us view it.
The question, and Ty, I don't want to cut you off, but the question is just why and why now? And I really believe part of the why and why now is that, again, he says in there, I could care less what people say about me. But I do think he cares what Belichick believes. And Belichick has been the king of, I'm going to get rid of you a year too soon rather than a year too late. He knows that's the Belichick he's dealing with. They let Ty Law go. They let Richard Seymour go. They let everybody go.
Ty Law and Richard Seymour ain't Tom Brady, though. I mean, I'm sitting here telling you that it's not as easy to get rid of Tom Brady, even though if it comes down to it and Mr. Kraft has to make a choice, it's going to be Tom Brady before Bill Belichick, because Tom Brady is somewhat at the end of the rope. Even though he's defeating Father Time right now, Bill Belichick is still going to be there. He is the one that keeps all the pieces in play when Tom is down, and they're still being competitive. So if he has to make a choice as a businessman and as an owner, of course he's going to side with Belichick, but it's not going to be that easy to get rid of the guy that brought you 5 on his way to 6 Super Bowl rings.
You know, the other thing, as I watched this, I thought if I was a teammate of Tom Brady, it'd make me work harder. Like it's like
Teammate? It should make you work harder, make me work harder, and anybody that watches
But
it.
if I'm a teammate of Tom, I'm like, damn, he goes home. To me,
I'm thinking about the other quarterbacks around the league when they watch it. If I'm Cam Newton and I watch that, I have to take a long look in the mirror and say, am I doing this? And again, if I'm the Philadelphia Eagles and anybody's like, am I doing this? Right. Because if you're not willing to match his level of commitment that spreads throughout the rest of that team, if you're not as committed as the Patriots, they're almost damn near impossible to beat.
Yeah, he talks about in this deal where, you know, he doesn't care what people says, but he does, because when he talks about the Super Bowl being down 25 points, that hurts to let everybody down. But then another thing that I took away, he said what motivates him more than anything is what I coulda, shoulda done better. This man is somebody who chases perfection. Like Tom Brady he wants to be perfect, and he wishes that he could have that Super Bowl, both Super Bowls against the Giants back. So his slate would be clean, but he doesn't have that. So he's going to continue to chase perfection. And I think his chasing perfection was kind of slapped in his face by the Giants when they didn't complete that complete season, going undefeated. But this is something that it's about him. It's not about anybody else. And I think it's great because he's letting us in on something, one of the greatest players to ever play sports, one of the greatest athletes to ever be on our TV screens that we can say we had the ability to watch.
Right, but what I will say is Tom Brady worked just as hard before he was Tom Brady. When he was a backup to Drew Bledsoe, he was still the first one in and the last one to go. I'm here to tell you, and I was there as a witness. I'm sitting there like, this guy might not ever see the field. But the way this guy's working in the weight room, the way he studies film, the way he prepares himself to come out and compete against us on the scout team, I mean, he really was intense about that. If you picked him off, he was pissed off. You know, I mean, he'll sit there and talk trash to you and everything else, you know, because we're trying to give it to him. He's a young guy. We're going to try to take advantage of him, you know, but he kept competing. And I think that is the one thing about Tom Brady. He's in constant competition, not only with himself, but he's going to compete against you. He's going to compete against you. He's going to compete against you. And whatever it is, if he was on this stage right now, he's going to be competing.
Yeah, I mean, I thought it was real authentic. He had a sense of humor. He had some self-awareness. He kind of mocked the league when he showed you the Goodell papers. I mean, I thought, you know, this stuff always, to me, you know, I'm always a little bit, in Los Angeles, everybody has a life coach and a psychic and a guru and I was like, oh boy, this is going to be a little bit over. And I watched it, and I'm like, no, he just let the cameras come in, and it's like a compound. Like, here's where I go to work out. Here's where I go with my tapes. Here's where I go with my trainer. Here's my kids. And I'm like, he lives just a very aspirational American life.
This morning when I was talking to our producers, one, I had the selfish take, which I was wrong on. And then two, I think our producers thought this was a setup for his retirement. They watched it and said, oh, I think he may retire. No. And I came away with the complete opposite take. Yeah. To me, this was like, anybody that doubts that I got 4 or 5 more years, go suck it, because I'm going to be here, because I'm going to prepare more than everybody else.
This basically what he keeps telling you. I mean, my takeaway watching it optically is, Jesus, he looks young. His body looks young. His hair looks young. His face, like, his brand now is age defiance. I'm not aging. And that's a little, you know, Svengali guru-ish, but
it's spiritual.
When you watch it, he does look younger.
It's spiritual, man. And again, I don't want to make too much of it, but I thought the way they ended it, I don't know if he got all the way to the end with his wife, his number one, that's what he called her on. You know, they just lose to the Kansas City Chiefs, and she's rubbing his shoulder and said, this season's going to be awesome. It's all going to come together. Trust me, you know, basically, baby, and rubs him on the shoulder. And it's like, damn, this dude's got a supermodel who loves him, who's all in. Even though she's made it clear she'd like him to retire, but it's like, oh, we doing this. Now that we in it, we doing it for real, and it's going to be awesome. Hats off to Tom Brady.
Yeah. Welcome back. Greg Jennings, Ty Law are here. Let's move to Philadelphia, where the Eagles are getting ready for their Super Bowl, but safety Malcolm Jenkins might have some other things on his mind. Jenkins has been perhaps the NFL's leading social justice advocate this season and says he plans to continue his activism in Minneapolis, saying, quote, I actually enjoy talking about some things other than football. I'd rather talk about how to fix things in our community than about how we're 5-point underdogs to the Patriots and all that other bull crap. Whitlock, are you worried Jenkins would be a distraction for the Eagles?
A distraction for the Eagles, no. A distraction for himself in terms of the demands that are going to be placed on him, because we have a media that loves to talk about everything other than football. Yes. So I think Malcolm Jenkins went to the Super Bowl with the New Orleans Saints previously and won a Super Bowl. This will be a totally different Super Bowl experience for him. He will be the focus of a lot of attention, and a lot of his time talking and interacting with the media will be talking about everything other than football. For Malcolm Jenkins, that'll be a distraction that he seems to be able to handle, at least he was during the regular season. How that will play out Super Bowl week, I'm not so sure. But a distraction for the team, no, because everybody's used to it. This is who Malcolm Jenkins is. An individual distraction, yes.
Yeah, I mean, activism's interesting. You know, Seattle was a very active locker room socially. It blew up. Oakland brought in Marshawn Lynch. That reportedly locker room nosedive. Steelers had an activism issue in the middle of the season. Chicago-Cincinnati games did not play well. I think you can correct it with strong leadership. So if you have a very socially active player, as long as you got a Brady or a Rodgers or a Flacco, like a veteran quarterback, Big Ben, Mike Tomlin's a veteran coach. Philadelphia is an interesting team. They have a backup quarterback and a coach who will be the second best coach in the game. I do think there'll be a lot of political talk this week, and I would rather, if I was the Eagles, not have political talk. I mean, I just think, to me, I look at Philadelphia and I'm like, oh, God, they're doing just what Jacksonville did and just what Rise Up did and just what New England is all football. That's all they do. And it seems like all these teams come in and they chat and they talk, and Jacksonville was, I mean, I don't know. I look at this and I'm like, why go there this week?
Look, I get where Malcolm Jennings what he wants to do. He wants to use this platform to talk about things other than football. But the reality is, you're at the Super Bowl. we're going to talk football. When you get up there on your media day, they're going to ask you a couple of questions, maybe just try to stir up something to make you say something wrong for it to be a distraction. But at the end of the day, you're going to be asked football questions whether you like it or not because you're here to play football. And I don't think he's going to garner the attention that he wants or he may be seeking, for his activism. I'm all for it, get down, do what you got to do. But this is a Super Bowl, and it's going to be more football than anything else.
And more media.
Exactly.
Yeah, I don't think it'll be a distraction. I don't think it's a distraction to him or his team. He's done it all year. His off days, he was going meeting with commissioner and league leaders. So it's been something that's been going on all year, and it hasn't been a distraction. He is professional enough to understand that what I'm trying to get done is one thing. What this team is trying to get done trumps all of that. And it doesn't mean that he has to put what's important to him to the side, but what collectively, when I put on this uniform, when I have my name on the back of me and the Philadelphia Eagles tattooed across my shirt and jersey, I represent the Philadelphia Eagles. So we have to understand that our brand and what we're trying to get done, our laser focus is the game, but we all have different initiatives that we're going to promote and what we're after.
It's funny. Super Bowl week's different, though. It's global media. And what you're trying to do when you go to the Super Bowl as a reporter is be different. And so they're going to latch on to one sentence, and it's not going to be hometown Philadelphia Inquirer guy who's got your back. It'll be interesting if he has a day, media day, and he goes very socially active.
Colin.
The media that's a fire.
No one's taking him on. He's going to find a very supportive media globally at the Super Bowl and he's thrown up a flare, come talk to me about issues other than football, and the media is going to love it, and they're going to go and celebrate it. And again, but the question Malcolm Jenkins will have to ask himself, and maybe Chris Long as well, because he's been very supportive, is the agenda when you go to a Super Bowl is like, man, this is a once-in-a-lifetime experience. Let me get to Super Bowl. That should be the entire focus. How effective is your message Super Bowl week? Because there's going to be thousands of stories put out there, and you'll be the guy talking about your social justice issue. I think it gets buried and drowned out by all the football talk. And so while he thinks this is an amazing platform where I'm going to make people think about these issues, I think he's going to be pissing into the wind, for lack of a better description, because everybody's going to be talking football and Tom Brady and football. And yes, there will be stories, but I just think they're going to get lost.
Well, I think he can give a little bit of an appetizer, during the week. But if you win the Super Bowl and you can go out there and bring it home, I think your message can be clearer, or more people will be willing to listen to you after you become Super Bowl champion.
Yeah, and this, again, he's 1-1 with New Orleans, but yes, if he can do that, and now it becomes this amazing story where people are saying, see, he wasn't distracted by being active and blah, blah, and he can stand on that platform and after the Super Bowl, and I think people will listen. All right, to Mike Tomlin, who's been under fire since the Steelers season came to an end, with people pointing to the team's chronic lack of discipline as one of the main reasons they fell short of expectations. But Big Ben, who hasn't been shy about calling out his coach, now insists Tomlin wasn't to blame, saying, quote, he knows how to coach us. Cowherd, do you think Big Ben trusts Tomlin?
No, because his complaints were always about discipline. And Mike Tomlin, as good as he is at the microphone, is not a disciplinarian. He's Pete Carroll.
Not a discipline at the microphone.
So, I think he's celebrating Todd Haley's gone, because I do think I think Ben likes Mike Tomlin. I think some of his habits bother him. It's a young locker room. It's chattery. But I think Ben likes Tomlin. I don't think Ben liked Todd Haley. And so I think he's really happy that Todd Haley, very confrontational. Bruce Arians told me 2 weeks ago, Ben doesn't like to be yelled at. Haley yells. You told me Haley's kind of a bully.
No, Haley's
so I think he's always liked Mike. I mean, they're tough guys. But I just think Mike's DNA as a coach sometimes irritates
I just think like is so overrated. And does he respect Mike Tomlin? I would say not to the degree that he perhaps should or could, because he's had all these complaints publicly, as you said, about discipline. What I will give Ben credit for is I think the organization Mike Tomlin and Big Ben have clearly, and the new guy, the quarterbacks coach they promoted to offensive coordinator, clearly had a discussion and said, we got to start over again. March or January 24th, 25th, whatever today is, we need to move this day forward. And that's what I think Ben is saying here is the slate is clean. I'm on board. We've made some adjustments that I like. I'm going to support Mike Tomlin. We're going to attack trying to win the Super Bowl next year with us all on the same page.
Well, I think after coming so close and all the high expectations of supposed to be the Super Bowl favorites, supposed to knock New England off the throne, it kind of brings you together a little bit. It can tear you apart or bring you together. Unfortunately, it was bad for the offensive coordinator. Somebody had to go. But Ben Roethlisberger, Mike Tomlin, I think they're on the same page. I mean, we don't know what's going on really inside that locker room. All we do know is that somebody had to be the scapegoat, and it happened to be their offensive coordinator. I mean, I probably would have did the same thing if you got Big Ben Roethlisberger, you got a 3rd and 1, and you run a sweep. Ben Roethlisberger is 250 pounds. Mike Tomlin, in my opinion, should have said, you know what, override that, because I know that's what Coach Belichick would have done. If it was a play that was called, because Belichick has the mic, guess what? We're not running that. Hey, you better run the quarterback sneak right here. So I think there was a disconnect somewhere within the coaching staff, and I don't know if Big Ben has the ability or to say, you know what? The freedom to say, you know what, I'm going to check this off right now.
How does he? But I've heard that's funny because I've read that before. And I was like, how does Big Ben not have the?
I mean, that's what you would think. That's what you would think that we had. But I know Tom would have said, you know what? Hey, guess what? We're going to run a quarterback sneak. I'll deal with that when I get back to the sideline. You know, that's just the difference between Tom Brady, Ben Roethlisberger.
And their freedom.
Mike Tomlin, Bill Belichick. It comes down to the people that's making the decision and somebody that's saying, you know what? I don't care what's being called over here by the offensive coordinator. I'll deal with it, and this is what I'm going to do.
I don't think it's a matter of does he trust Mike Tomlin or not. I think he's finally coming to grips with the Steelers organization, the Rooney family. They don't turn over head coaches. Mike Tomlin isn't going anywhere. Deal with it. We will get rid of Todd Haley. Obviously, we understand there was a rift there, and I think that his frustration grew from that, and it kind of went over and spilled over into Mike Tomlin because he's the head guy. He's the one I'm going to vent to, if you will. But Tomlin has always been supportive of Ben Roethlisberger. When you look at that game, you alluded to it, against New England, Tomlin didn't lose them that game.
No.
A lot of fingers can point at Ben Roethlisberger and say, Ben, if you would have just been smarter with the football, we would have had a chance to beat these guys. And so I think when he takes a step back and he looks at the things that he's said, and now they're getting rid of Todd Haley, they're doing things to make sure that, okay, Ben, we're gonna appease you a little bit as well because you deserve that, but we're not getting rid of Mike Tomlin. This is who we are.
And you shouldn't. He's a great coach.
Welcome back. Joined now by Fox NBA analyst Chris Broussard, founder of The Big Lead, Jason McIntyre. Let's move to the NBA. Took a huge step, the league did, toward their march toward legalized gambling yesterday, with a league attorney testifying about the issue before the New York State Senate, outlining a plan that would give the league, the NBA, 1% of gambling revenues and expand betting access for fans. Whitlock, good idea, bad idea for the NBA to get into the gambling biz?
I think it's a bad idea. And, you know, I don't think it's hard to gamble if you want to gamble. It doesn't need to be legalized in every state as long as everyone has a laptop and a cell phone. I think if you connect the NBA to gambling revenue the way he's suggesting, it's a league that already has had the Tim Donaghy, and people think that the games are manipulated by the officiating. This is starting to look like European soccer, which gambling dominates European soccer. And what's the most corrupt sport in the world? European soccer. People go to jail. Soccer is a corrupt sport. And it's because of it's too close of an attachment to gambling. I think this is a mistake.
I think it's brilliant. I think it's an emotional connection, and that's all sports is. When you go to a casino and they make you part of their poker club, or they make sure they comp you in a room, what they're telling you is, hey, we're in this business together. You're loyal to them. You're part of our poker club. All that is an emotional attachment to suck you in. You're part of us. We're part of you. You matter to us. All gambling is a deeper emotional connection. I got money on this thing. Like you said, if you want to gamble, you can. But I've always said, if you look at the gambling problems we've had, it's often been college athletes, Arizona State, Toledo's running back, Boston College. Why? Because they make nothing. And they're broke college kids. NBA guys, now the league minimum's $3 million. Again, would you gamble? Tim Donaghy.
Assistant coaches.
These guys are all making. What's an assistant coach going to do to Brad Stevens? Move the line?
No.
I worry about
share information. Again, soccer is very corrupt.
But I'm with Colin. One of the reasons soccer is corrupt in Europe is because all sports are corrupt over there. We've seen with the Olympic bidding, when the European nations bid for the Olympics, it's corrupt. I mean, so it's a different culture over there when it comes to sports. I think you made a great point about Donaghy. And I think maybe the NBA is going to have to start paying their refs more. They're not going to pay them enough where it could never be a temptation, but I think maybe you pay them more. But this is coming. Whether the NBA gets on board or not, this is about to happen.
No, it's here.
It's
now
here.
It's whether
so they're just trying to get a piece of the pie.
Right.
So I'm saying go ahead and do it. It could be great for the players and teams.
It feels like one of these situations where the NBA wants to win social media. You say this often, right? Hey, guys, we're going to do this draft, and it's going to be great, and everybody freaks out on social media. This is great, and then we're not going to televise it, you know? Now you've got the gambling situation. What have we been talking about lately, guys? The referee problems with the players. Younger refs, new generation of refs. They're not making any money. All of a sudden, you know, you can gamble on your phone in the arena. These younger referees, are they on social media at halftime? Are they looking and seeing, oh, huge bets coming in, fourth quarter, free throw shooting? I mean, it does feel like, Colin, the referees, the corruption, the potential for manipulation feels very strong with the refs.
I've lived through so many stigmas. I can remember when I was young, when we were going to raise the speed limit. People will die on the freeways. And then auto manufacturers, it's never been safer to drive, change cars. Weed, pot, marijuana, Washington and Colorado's employment, up. It's a stigma. Gambling. It's here.
No, corruption's not a stigma, though. And so my point is, I don't have a problem with gambling. Trust me, I'm from a gambling family.
You don't like the connection.
A pro league sticking its hand in the gambling kitty. We want 1% of this. That's too close of an association. Again, you go over to European soccer, and the gambling promotion is everywhere, all over the field.
In the stadium.
In the stadium, the whole line. And we keep wondering why the sport is so corrupt, why flopping. And there's, people make death threats towards officials and referees and things like that. I just think pump the brakes.
Couldn't I argue, though, fantasy sports? I mean, DraftKings, you have to give them your Visa. That's gambling. And by the way, the league's an investor. Jerry Jones an investor. We could be an investor. We're already in the gambling business.
So everybody should benefit from it potentially, except the players or the league that they're betting on.
Look, optics and perception matter in terms of controlling, and they already have an issue with the perception of officiating in all sports. In the NBA, it's really acute. It's starting to become acute in the NFL. I'm just not sure if this, look, man, greed is at the root of all evil.
It's increased revenue.
And so I just think they're being a little greedy here, and you need to be a little bit careful. Is that 1% of gambling revenue justify the potential damage and or corruption in your league becoming more pervasive? I would just be careful.
It wouldn't justify it. There's no question. I mean, you bring up some interesting points. There's no doubt about it. Referees, you think of lower-level players who aren't going to be making a ton of money.
And want to live like the guy that's the number one guy on the roster.
And what people bet on, it won't be just the game and the spread. There could be all types of things they're betting on. Free throws made, prop bets. I'm still with Colin, but the league is going to have to watch a lot of different things. They're going to be ready for it.
As a side note, you know who told the NBA about Tim Donaghy? Vegas. The margins of winning in sports betting are like 5%. They don't want cheating either. When you go into sports gambling, it will be monitored by Vegas and the league. That's one of the things. Tim Donaghy, Toledo's running back, that was Vegas calling and saying, we got a problem on overs in Sixers games and Donaghy games.
I've seen NFL players. There's one that just went to prison here recently, made about $500,000-$600,000 a year in the NFL, but wanted to live like the top player. Started dealing dope on the side. Again, once you're in that league and you have the perception of being LeBron James and living like LeBron James, you'll start thinking, well, how can I do it? How can I pull it off?
Let me ask you, though. California legalized marijuana. Are you now smoking it? Like, you're either...
I will not answer
really
that.
put it on. I'm saying.
Not this week. All right, welcome back to the show. Chris Broussard and Jason McIntyre are back. Let's move to Cleveland, where the Cavaliers' lousy week just got worse. According to a new report, Kyrie Irving forced his way out of Cleveland by threatening to have knee surgery during the season if they didn't give in to his trade request. Cowherd, who looks worse here, Kyrie or the Cavaliers?
Kyrie's got some blood on his hands here. I think it looks really selfish, really manipulative. Like, I mean, that's not what you do to a coworker. Take basketball out of it. I'm not going to show up to work unless you let... Really? I wouldn't want that out in the press.
The player mobility guy is saying this. The guy that loves taking control of your narrative and doing whatever you want.
I believe in moving. I don't believe in quitting. I believe in giving your employer a legitimate...
Holdout? He's talking about a holdout, basically.
He's talking about, I'm going to ruin the season unless you do what I want. Kevin Durant's a free agent, like, I'm going to test the market, come sell me. That's authentic.
I think we're missing the mark here a little bit in terms of, to me, this is a story about LeBron James and the Cleveland Cavaliers pointing fingers at each other.
Right.
Why is this story out here? Why is it leaked at this point? The trade's been done, happened. So someone's looking back like, damn, Isaiah Thomas, Jay Crowder, and whatever else we got for Kyrie Irving, that ain't working out real well. Who's to blame? And so now let's put out the story, because what LeBron and them are saying is like, hey, Kobe Bryant demanded a trade, and the Lakers said, no, you're going to play here. LaMarcus Aldridge wanted out of San Antonio, and they was like, no, you're going to stay here. Why didn't you force Kyrie Irving to stay in Cleveland? This is LeBron pointing a finger at the Cavaliers, saying, y'all mismanaged this spoiled kid, and you should have made him stay here and tough it out rather than letting him go, and now our team stinks.
I don't think this is LeBron's camp. I don't know who leaked it. My guess is the front office. Yeah. This looks to me like the most obvious attempt at spin control I've seen in ages. I mean, you just had this big blow-up argument where I had Joe Varden, who broke this story from Cleveland.com on my podcast today, and he said they weren't just going at Love. It started that way. He said everybody was going at everybody, including the GM Kobe Altman. Players were going at him. So after the front office has this big blow-up with some of the players, now you leak. We had no choice. We had to trade. I mean, this is so obvious and blatant. The Cavs look horrible. You mentioned it. You didn't have to trade him. If you did trade him, you didn't have to trade him to your conference rival, Boston. Now, I'm not going to go back. I thought it was a good move by Cleveland at the time. Okay, obviously, right now, that looks like that was wrong. But in hindsight, he demands a trade. He's playing hardball with you. He's not giving you any love, playing hardball, and you send him to Boston? That was about the best situation you could have given Kyrie Irving. You should have sent him to Phoenix or some other place in the Western Conference where he wouldn't have seen the light of day or the playoffs or the All-Star game. If he played hardball with you, you could have played hardball with him.
Kyrie looks worse. We all agree on that, right?
No, I think the Cavs look worse.
Oh, come on. Did you hear what they said?
OG.
Oh, my goodness.
Kyrie is an OG.
Wow.
Maybe he was bluffing. I think Kyrie looked fine. And he ended up in the best situation he
Kyrie comes out of this looking great, right? I mean, the blood on his hands of ruining the team. And this is what the crumbling of an empire looks like, Chris, okay?
Well, he wanted to crumble it.
You're talking about a team going through team meetings right now, finger-pointing, LeBron blaming the front office, the owner saying, hey, I've been sitting on this for 5 months. Now I'm going to unload it. Now I'm going to play my ace card. This isn't our fault. Kyrie Irving, you're the one who ruined this. You bluffed and said you were going to
He wanted to ruin it. He wanted to leave. He said, I'm leaving. You don't appreciate what I did for you.
He just
and
said,
he's left. They're the number one
Kobe
seed.
Bryant, right? Kobe Bryant, LaMarcus Aldridge. Everybody's played this game before, because you don't have to just, okay, he's going to sit out. Yeah,
that's why the Cavs look the worst.
Well,
yeah, the Cavs look
bad,
worse.
but Kyrie, to me, looks worse. Demanding, I'm getting out of here.
What's the difference?
There's a lot of different ways to leave a company. I don't think saying, I'm going to quit. I don't think it's the best way to leave a company.
Yeah, what does that do for his
People
brand?
do that all the
Yeah.
time.
Carson Palmer, did he not quit on the Bengals? And basically say, this is not that unusual. This happens. Oh, I'm thinking of the big defensive lineman that set out for a year in the NFL.
It's sitting out. That's what it is. It's a holdout.
Well, when you're playing with the best player and you just won a championship, it kind of looks selfish.
He wanted out. He didn't like, again, quirk in his personality, wanted to play in a system where he could actually be the point guard. Again, you can fault him for all that, but the Cavaliers, other teams, and I believe this is what LeBron is actually saying, other organizations called the guy's bluff. Yep. He punked the Cavaliers.
Yep. Yeah, but when they released this story, do you think the Cavs organization released it to make Kyrie look good?
No.
I think they tried to get the pressure off, the heat off of them.
And
I'm not sure who leaked the story. Y'all think the Cavs did. I think LeBron did. I think LeBron is embarrassing the front office so that when he does bounce up out of there, you see how incompetent these guys were? They let Kyrie Irving clown suit him. And here we are sitting here with Isaiah Thomas and Jay Crowder because Kyrie undressed us publicly.